And when they feel insulted by foreign entities, whether that's K-pop bands or the NBA, millions clamour online for consumer boycotts that cow even mighty multinationals.
Oh, so they have that sort of power.
Yeah.
And what about, patriotism?
Well, patriotic sentiment has long been strong, but increasingly youth do not question the regime's claim that loving country and party are one and the same.
What do you... I don't get that. What's wrong with that?
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but remember I was talking about the Tiananmen Square place?
Yeah.
Do you know what happened there?
Yeah, that's a place where they make, Nike shoes, Adidas, stuff like that, factories.
Oh, I don't know about that. Where they now show reverence for the flag that I spoke about earlier and the armed forces.
Mm.
Young Chinese once displayed remarkable defiance.
Mm.
Yeah, in June 1989, tanks and guns cleared student protesters from Tiananmen Square with murderous force.
What do you mean by murderous?
I mean, like, people got killed.
Oh.
To many Westerners and older Chinese liberals, the young lack the qualities that made the Tiananmen generation remarkable.
What sort of qualities?
Ideals, rebellion, courage.
But they don't have that.
Well, this is how they're seen. The Junlingho are seen as apolitical, except in their naïve and brash patriotism. Concerned with getting ahead, but only to buy the latest iPhone.
I'm a bit like that, actually. I lined up for an iPhone for weeks and weeks, but I didn't get my iPhone at the end.
Yeah, I guess you're not that materialistic, you could say.
Yeah, no, I guess I'm not.
So many see them as materialistic and entitled.
I'm entitled.
Yeah, I won't disagree with that. Many see them as materialistic and entitled. A generation of, they call them a generation of little emperors doted on by their parents.
Yeah, well, parents, I agree with that. Parents should do everything for their kids, I always ask my mum for extra money so I can, make my YouTube videos.
Yeah, all right.
So they're just like me.
Well, this does not always describe the Junlingho. When police arrested a human rights lawyer called Pu Zhiqiang in 2014 for joining a private memorial to the victims of Tiananmen, students uploaded photos of themselves to Weibo, a microblog, holding signs in his support.
What did the signs say?
They said things like, "We are the Junlingho." One message read, "We are certainly not brain dead. In fact, we are passionate, we are rising, and we are ready to take on responsibility."
Oh, that's some tough talk.
Yeah.
And will they live up to those words?
Well, I argue that they are. They are living up to these words. Yes, there has been no direct youth-led challenge to the regime, but young people speak out for social causes. Many join volunteer groups or donate to charity.
I would never do that.
No generation has been more vocal in its support of LGBT and women's rights.
I definitely wouldn't do that.
Students have backed factory workers trying to unionise and stage silent street protests about climate change.
No, I'm not into that.
This takes courage.
Why does it take courage?
Well, under Xi Jinping, China's president since 2013, intimidation and arrest of activists have become common.
So are they challenging the rule?
No, young people do not intend to challenge the legitimacy of the ruling Communist Party. Their social liberalism has grown even as support for the party rises. The Junlingho are comfortable with a rising assertive China.
And does the party know about this?
Well, the party knows how to play on this. It has hammered home that China stopped the spread of COVID-19 within its borders as the West bungled its response.
Oh, it kind of did.
Spin doctors have not had to exert themselves on the calamitous failings of Donald Trump's presidency, like they do in the West. And more overseas Chinese students are returning home.
Oh, yeah, Chinese students, they're all over. They come here, they want to learn our ways, we show them.
Well, actually, when they return home disillusioned with the West.
Huh?
After meeting people like you, Dave. Yeah, man, you're not a good ambassador.
Let's just move on. And so What does that do for these youth?
This young pride feeds off a new worldly confidence in these people.
Is this happening now or what?
Well, ethnic Mongols in the northern province of Inner Mongolia staged rare protests last year over an order requiring more use of Mandarin in schools.
And what happened after that?
Hundreds were arrested. I spoke to Gerla, a young ethnic Mongol.
How does she feel?
She feels deeply unhappy with the government, but she's also terribly afraid.
So is that Duolingo?
Yeah.
How do they work out this? What makes a Duolingo? How does someone become one of them?
Duolingo, China divides its generations by decades. So the Qilingo is post-70s, are defined by childhoods after Mao's death in 1976. The Balingo, after the 80s, they grew up as China reformed and opened to the world under Deng Xiaoping.
So it's every 10 years or so?
But it's often now argued that generations change every 5 years or even 3. The talk is already of the Linlinghao. Most of whom are still in school.
So millennials?
Well, to speak of millennials, whose the definition in the West is those born between 1981 and 1996, that'll be the same as shoehorning 4 Chinese generations into one, man.
It's not like... I'm just finding it hard to grasp this gender gap that you're talking about.
Well, the gap is easy to grasp if you ask parents to recall their 20s.
What would they mention?
They mention jobs allocated by the party through their Dunway.
What's Dunway?
It's a government-controlled work unit.
How does that work?
Well, only with its permission could they marry and divorce. So for years, women had to report their periods to the Dunway to ensure they were complying with the one-child rule.
And what did they get? Did they get something out of that?
Yeah, the Dunway provided welfare benefits such as free housing, schooling, and healthcare.
And so how's that different to today's youth?
Well, their children's lives, by contrast, are defined by choice, individualism, and more personal freedom.
I get a bit of personal freedom when I'm on YouTube, making my YouTube videos.
Yeah.
So is that how you can characterize could you characterize this generation, these Jilingos? Could you characterize them like this?
The lives of the Jiaolingho share 2 features. One is that they began after the pro-democracy protests of 1989. The state relentlessly scrubs from the internet any reference to the bloody suppression of Tiananmen protests.
I also do that on my channel. I block people that write comments that I don't like. I know that style. But how would you block their parents? That's a tough one.
Well, terrified parents not wanting to put ideas into children's heads keep silent.
So no one knows.
Well, some use a terse official version that casts the students as rabble-rousers and says nothing of their deaths.
So that's not going to lead to anything, is it?
Well, some observers ask if this enforced amnesia could embolden the young to rise up again. Others argue that because they do not know that the army gunned down students in cold blood and see only a China that has become richer and stronger under the party's rule, they are more likely than older generations to see it as a benevolent force.
That's the image I'm trying to project, actually, by doing those sort of measures on my YouTube channel. And what about the other feature you were talking about?
Well, the second feature is that those born since 1991 spent their late teens with Mr. Xi in power. They might be called Generation Xi.
And what's Generation Xi done? What's their difference? Why are they Generation Xi?
Well, since primary school, they have received an education with more emphasis on patriotism than at any time since Mao, which was following an overhaul of the syllabus after Tiananmen. Students take obligatory courses on Marxism, nationalism, and the doctrines of Mao. And last year, there was another one added, Xi Jinping thought. And this...
and what does that do?
This affects how they see the world. A survey in 2019 by China Youth Daily, a state organ, found that 3 in 4 of those born after 1995, they think China is not perfect, but always improving.
I think I can relate. I mean, I was Well, I had it perfect. I mean,
What?
family did everything for me. I shouldn't complain, but I do. But obviously, when you look at my YouTube channel, it's not improving.
Yeah. Take it easy, man.
So yeah, that was very interesting talk. Maybe next time we can meet again, and you can tell us about maybe within this cohort of youth, you know, like between the country and the city youth. Is there a difference there?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, well, how about our next podcast? We'll talk about a divide between the rural and urban youth. How about that?
Yeah, okay. I'll look forward to that. And thank you for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next time.
2岁了，整个蛋炒，驸马郎